Here we go. Should be starting the stream up Thursday night. Knicks. Salute to Knicks Nation. CP from KnicksFanTV checking in. We are less than 1 week to go to the NBA draft of 2020. And on tonight's show, we're going to do the ultimate mock draft. We're going to do the ultimate mock draft from 1 to 38 and see who the Knicks could potentially end up with on draft night. And joining me tonight are my guys, Corey Taluba, the Hardwood Herald, and Raphael Barlow, NBA Draft Junkies, past guests on the show, and they'll also be joining me on draft night as well, man. Fellas, how you doing tonight? Thanks for coming on.
I'm chilling. Yeah, I'm chilling, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, I mean, we've talked draft, ad nauseum at this point, but how you guys feeling overall as we lead into it? Corey, I'll start with you.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I feel like I'm at this huge buffet dinner, and I'm just eating. My jeans have been tightening up, and I feel like I'm about to get home and be able to put sweatpants on. You know what I mean? Just relieved.
Finally, man. Raphael, what about you, bro?
Yeah, I'm just ready to move on to 21. I've watch these guys so much till you start questioning yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just ready to move on to the 21 class. It seems to be a better class on paper, but I'm just ready to look at some new prospects.
Yeah, indeed, man. And for us Knicks fans, we're just ready to get this started and see who the Knicks get with number 8, number 27, and 38. All right, so Corey, I'm going to start with you, man. Kick it off. Minnesota Timberwolves. There's all this talk about them potentially trying to trade the pick. We're not going to do trades. We'll just keep it simple. So let's say they did keep the pick. Where do you think they go at number 1?
Ultimately, I think that they're going to take Anthony Edwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what? I know there's a lot of smoke with LaMelo right now.
Yeah.
He did the workout and everything. I don't know. As much as he might sell tickets, I don't think you have to worry about it because who knows with the fans. I don't know, the fit with him and D'Angelo Russell in the backcourt. I just don't really like it. I know both. I know Russell maybe could play off ball a little bit. You got two playmakers. I just feel like Edwards is a guy that it's just a little bit of a cleaner fit. With that roster, and not that you should be drafting for fit. When you have a pick this high, but. I think that Edwards is a guy you could argue has potential close enough to LaMelo, and I think that he's a guy that kind of fits a little bit better, and who knows what the situation with Malik Beasley is going into the offseason. So I think when you're trying to build the roster forward, I think ultimately they'll lean on Edwards.
Yeah, I like the fit a lot better than LaMelo. A lot of people feel like LaMelo is going to be the consensus number 1 pick, but I like Edwards as the better fit there with D'Lo in the backcourt and pairing that, young 3 core with Karl Anthony Towns as well. Raphael, what's your take there?
I think the Timberwolves are for sale. And I think if the owner wants to sell the team, Melo helps him get rid of the team faster. And I think the GM and the president of basketball operations may have one player in mind, but I think ultimately if the owner wants to sell the team, Melo helps them generate a bigger buzz, especially after seeing how much the Utah Jazz were able to sell for.
Yeah.
And so I think that he sees I could be able to get a couple billion or however much they sold for, and Melo just kind of helps him. So I think this ends up being a business decision over a basketball decision. Interesting.
All right, so I'm going to go with Edwards, because that was Corey's pick. Number 2 is me. I think, again, Golden State will be listening to offers as we've been hearing since, God knows how long. But if they stay here, I think Wiseman makes the most sense. I don't think LaMelo under this circumstance would make the most sense for them. I think James Wiseman makes the most sense. And for him, with Golden State, I think that's the perfect team for him to go to for his development. You're going to the world champs, a sound coach, sound development philosophy. You're going with Steph, Clay, and Draymond. They're going to hold him accountable. Obviously, he has a lot of growing up to do, but he can come in and just play his game for right now. Just be a rim running, shot blocking, interrupter out there while the rest of his game takes shape. And I think that helps the Warriors down the long run. If you look at it, when they have the Timberwolves number 1 pick next year, going with Wiseman, you still got Clay, you got Steph. I think the Warriors are going to be built for now and the future. So I think I'm going with James Wiseman at number 2. Raphael, number 3, where are you headed?
Well, based off the rumors, Wiseman is the guy that the Hornets want. But I would personally take Okongwu here, but I don't think they'll pass up LaMelo Ball. And so I'll take LaMelo Ball. We just have to figure out what we're going to do with Rozier and Graham, but LaMelo Ball would be the choice here.
And he goes with LaMelo. LeVar versus MJ is going to be box office in Charlotte. Well, Corey, I think as a Chicago Bulls fan, that kind of throws a little wrench in your plans, man. What were you thinking? Were you thinking LaMelo for the Bulls?
No, man, that petrifies me. Last time I gave you the comp that LaMelo was like a freestyle rapper. This time I'm gonna tell you that he reminds me of like one of the really like hot crazy girls that I dated in my early 20s. And like, when things are good, you think back, you're like, yo, things were good with her. She was fun. But then you start thinking about the bad times, like, those early in the clock pull-ups from 30 feet out. And it's almost like when, that same girl was at the family function getting too drunk and arguing about politics at the dinner table. So I'm thrilled he's off the board now.
I missed the comparison last time. Because last time I was on, someone compared him to 6'9", and I thought that was the funniest thing.
Yeah, someone did compare him to 6'9".
That's funny. Oh man, yeah, I'm thrilled that he's off. So for the Bulls at 4, that means that I'm gonna take Denny Avdia at 4.
Okay.
So I think that Denny is a guy that I personally don't expect him to be a like multiple-time all-star, superstar, anything like that, but I think that he's a guy that's going to contribute to winning. He is a guy who's going to move the ball. He has that secondary playmaking skill, so he could take some of the pressure off Kobe White and Zach LaVine. He'll run pick and pop with Laurie Markkinen. He'll run, throw lobs at the hoop to Wendell Carter. Just from a roster perspective, he's a guy that's going to come in, I think, ready to go. And I think that's valuable this year, especially considering that with these rookies, if they're playing like little mini series, back-to-backs, this and that, where you're going to be able to scout for guys, having his experience might work out. And, he still has, I think, pretty decently high potential as a player. So for Chicago, I think Denny is the guy that they would go with under this scenario.
Interesting fit. Raphael, what's been your take of Denny based on the tape that you've seen of him?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think it's a good fit. It'd be interesting because, they're in a bunch of rumors. I've seen LaVine to the Mavericks today. I've seen Wendell Carter to the Bulls. I've seen those rumors. And, I think ultimately Denny's best position where he's most valuable would be as a 4. I think he may start games at the 3, but I think in closing lineups he plays the 4. So I'm just interested to see if the Bulls are, going to make some trades because they have a new front office, so it's tough to predict what they'll do. But I think that would be a good choice.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, new front office. Let's see how they go about making a splash. Number 5 with Cleveland. I think this is Obi here. We've been hearing for a while that they wanted a wing. We've been hearing Okoro. We've heard Denny as well. But I think they just go best player available. They're a talent-starved team. Drummond, yes, he's going to probably opt into that mega deal, but I'm sure he's gone after that. Kevin Love, I could see him getting traded mid-season. I don't think he's going to last. You don't know what you're going to do with Sexton and Garland, but one of those guys could be on the outs as well. I think Cleveland is starving for talent. College basketball player of the year. They go best player available, and I think Cleveland goes Obi Toppin out of Dayton at number 5. Corey, no, who's 6? Raphael at 6. What do you think?
As far as the Toppin pick?
Well, yeah, you can talk about the Toppin pick.
Yeah,
I was going to go to the Hawks, but go ahead on Toppin.
It makes sense. Toppin, no matter where he goes, is my early favorite for Rookie of the Year because I feel like he's the most NBA-ready prospect in this class, at least on the offensive end of the floor. And if he ends up going to a team like Cleveland and they move Love, he's going to have plenty of I would say you have plenty of opportunities, but the ball doesn't move with those 2 guards. So I don't know. That could be the one situation where he doesn't win Rookie of the Year. But yeah, I just think it makes sense. Dayton's in Ohio. I think that could be a factor. But yeah, man, I think that Cleveland is starved for talent, and they're going to be in the lottery again next year, and so they should be able to continue to add some young assets. But as far as them making the playoffs, I think I read that's their goal for this year. I don't see that happening.
Good luck. And that's coming from a Knicks fan. Good luck. Yeah, man. How about at 6? Where would you go if you're the Hawks at 6 now?
To me, this is the hardest pick
Yeah.
because no matter who Atlanta takes, it's going to be redundant. You know, if you take a wing, they've drafted wings. What, 3 wings in the last 2 drafts?
And remember, they traded up for Hunter last year.
Yeah, yep. And so you go a 4 spot, you got to wonder about John Collins. They just traded for Capella. Obviously, they have Trey. This is a tough one. I think that they need help on defense. But they also need another ball handler. So in this one, I'll pass up the hometown kid, Isaac Okoro, and I'll go with Devin Vassell. But this is Devin Vassell hoping that the jump shot behind the head, whatever that was just a joke and he was playing around.
Yeah, he said in his interview, he said, don't be worried about it. But go ahead.
That's good. But I think ultimately this pick is moved. I think whether it's a Drew Holiday or a DeMar DeRozan, I think they need to add some type of veteran leadership on this team. Just my opinion, bringing Nate McMillan on the team tells me there's some trouble with Lloyd Pierce. Like, you just don't bring an experienced coach like that to be a assistant for a young coach unless you feel like you want to have a replacement in mind.
Yeah, interesting.
That's just my opinion. And they need to add some veterans because Vince Carter's gone, and I'm guessing off the top of my head, it's a friend of mine, but Dwayne Dedman may be the only guy on the team over maybe like 26 or something like that. So you got to add some veterans. So I think they move this pick, but if they don't, I'm going with Vassell here.
Interesting. Corey, what do you think about the Vassell with the Hawks fit?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, we were talking about it's redundant a little bit, right? Yeah. You know, the skill set overlaps, but I'm a huge Vassell fan. You know, I never worried about that catapult shot. I know it's something he needs to fix, even if it's not with that workout video. You know, the exaggerated one. He still needs to kind of bring it a little closer to his head a little bit, in my opinion, anyway. But the kid could defend, man. He's a baller. You know, he's a guy that is going to be able to do a lot of good things. He plays winning basketball. And you know, I think if we learned anything, you could never have enough of these, you know, versatile 6'7", 6'8" guys who could defend all these positions. And Vassell guarded 1 through 5 at Florida State. So, you know, if you're looking at Trey as a guy if you're penciling him in as a defensive minus probably forever, you're going to need guys like this who can, you know, defend around him. And so from that perspective, you know, I can't hate on the pick. I mean, and he's the number 6 guy on my board anyway, so it lined up pretty well there.
I agree. I could definitely see going with the wing depth. I could see Halliburton here too, man. I could see Halliburton in the backcourt with Trey. And that being a good fit for him. But, you know, Vassell would certainly be interesting. I agree with Raphael. I think they do need a talented vet on that team to help them move the needle a little bit. So it's going to be interesting. You have been hearing that the Hawks want to move out of 6. We know that the Celtics are itching to get up from 14. They got 3 draft picks in the first round, so they're itching to get up. So let's see what happens. We could have some potential trades going on there. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. We're creeping up to 700 in the chat. So we getting in. People are getting in comfy. 720 going on in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of anti-Halliburton sentiments going on in the chat. So the chat is hungry tonight. We're creeping up on the 8th pick. I see a couple callers on the line. We're going to go to those callers and get their opinions on 8 after we go to 7. And 7 is the Detroit Pistons. Corey, what do you think?
You know what? Like, I don't know if there's all this smoke with Patrick Williams. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much smoke there is there. You know, personally, I have him. You know, probably like late lottery. Just, you know, he's a tough guy. You know, for a team like Detroit, in my opinion, to value so highly, especially with the way that they drafted last year as I guess a guy that you would want to build around, because really you look at that team and it's a sad state of affairs. I think that it's a little bit of smoke with Patrick Williams, and I think that ultimately they're going to try to trade up, but if they don't, and the board shakes out like this, I think that they'll take Killian Hayes.
And he's going with Killian Hayes at number 7. Raphael, what do you think about the Williams thing? Because I've been hearing that as well. We've been hearing that, some of these scouts are putting Williams in the top 8. And a lot of people tabbing him to Detroit at number 7. What do you think about Williams and his projections now?
Smoke screen. They need a point guard. And I think to me, Patrick Williams and Sekou play the same kind of hybrid 3-4. So to me, that just absolutely makes no sense. But there must be a team that really likes Williams, and maybe they're trying to work out some type of trade to get another asset. But I just don't see it. To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, highly interesting, man. But, he's just a name that you hear has been going bananas in a lot of circles. My guy Jonathan Macri is saying that he's hearing that, he could be a top 7, top 8 pick. But let's see what happens. All right. So we are in at number 8. We are in at number 8. What is the chat feeling right now with who's on the board? Let me see some names in the chat. All I'm seeing is Boycott Halliburton. I'm seeing Boycott Halliburton all over the chat.
Yes. I that's all I
The chat is rambunctious tonight.
That was before the stream even started.
And I'll say, with who's left on the board, you have Okoro, you have Halliburton, you have Okoro, you have Halliburton on the board. I think that, as I said yesterday or the day before, whenever I came on, I think defense is going to be part of what defines Tibbs' success here. Obviously, wins and losses. But he's got to start with defense. And he needs his quarterback on the defense, his tone setter on the defense. Obviously, we have Mitch. Not sure what the future is going to hold for him, but you have one pillar here in Mitch. But to have a guy like an Isaac Okoro out there on the perimeter in a switch-heavy NBA that can get after it, strong, can give you that defense on day one. Yes, his shot needs a lot of work, but I think Tibbs having that guy out there that can go out there and execute his game plan and elevate the rest of the team by getting the team easy buckets in transition, especially when the half-court offense is no good. I think it's too good to pass up. And so even though Kira's there, even though Halliburton is there, I think under this scenario, I think the Knicks would go Isaac Okoro, man, and that's where I'm going at number 8.
You know how I'm defending that lineup?
Say that again?
You say you want to know how I'm defending that lineup?
Yeah.
Boxes and elbows. That's all we have.
I mean, what do you think? I know the fit shooting-wise, I don't like it. But, I'm just going off of what I think the team will do under this scenario. And on any scenario, I think they will take a strong consideration to defense and Isaac Okoro. What do you guys think about that?
Okoro is definitely the kind of dude that Tibbs falls in love with, right? That's those guys who grind on the defensive end, play hard every minute they're on the floor. Okoro might break the record as a rookie for minutes played. Him and RJ might play 47 a game. They might get a little bit of 30 seconds at the end of the second, maybe a little break at the third. But, personally, I'm a little bit lower on Okoro just for the fact that I think that depending on the organization that he goes to, all the little things that he's, skilled at with his ball handling, like he's a good ball handler, but he's not a great ball handler. Like he's a good playmaker, but not a great playmaker. I think the variable of his shooting, teams are just going to go under or they're going to back up, they're boxes and elbows, right? So if he can't become an adequate to good shooter, I don't know how many of his other skills are going to translate. And, I'm not a big fit guy, but man, Frank, Okoro, RJ, Julius Randle.
It's tough. Right now it's tough. And I'll say this. I think if Vassell is there, I think they would defer to him. It just came out today that Thibodeau went down personally to go see Vassell working out. And I think if it came down to the two, I think they would lean towards Vassell. But in this scenario, I think it would be Okoro. Or Raphael, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I could see Tibbs wanting a guy like that and hoping that he could turn him into a Jimmy Butler type.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the difference is Butler was such a low pick that you could bring him along slowly. And I think if you take Okoro this high with the expectations that come along with New York, I think it can be tough for him because even though he's had a long break to work on his shot, it's still no live game action. And I think that if he's not a threat to knock down open shots, he's going to make life difficult for RJ.
Yeah.
It was already tough for him last year. And the only way I would make this decision with Okoro is if I already know, like, I'm getting a point guard in free agency or another trade. So I think I would. I don't think Okoro is the best fit there. That's just my opinion.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I wouldn't take him. I'm just saying I wouldn't take him. But I'm going off of what I think the team will do, and I think they're going to start on the defensive side of the ball. And under that scenario, I think it would be Okoro. All right, Raphael, I'm going to go to you. Number 9, Washington Wizards.
Washington Wizards, I am going with Kyra Lewis. I think that for them, it just makes sense simply because you don't know what's going on with John Wall. He's looked good on the videos that I've seen on social media, but again, who doesn't? Everybody looks like they're in tip-top shape. Every player says they're in the best shape of their life. Everybody says all the good things. But Wall hasn't played in what seems like 2 years. And so I would have Lewis as an insurance policy. I think even, he'll be able to bring a spark off the bench. And then I think, if you got Lewis and John Wall playing all 48 minutes, one or the other, you put a lot of pressure on the defense. And the Wiz were able to score a lot of points last year. They couldn't defend. So I think that, Lewis can learn from Wall for a year or so. And I think that would be my pick right there.
Interesting. I think both at both 8 and 9, or at 8, I think you're going to have the Celtics trying to jump up for Okongwu, and I think that's potentially where the Wizards would go at 9 as well. Especially from the defensive side of things, as you said, Raphael. Corey, what do you think about that? Kira to the Wizards.
That threw me off a little bit because I thought he was going to go with Okongwu as well.
Yeah.
Look, Kyra. I might be higher on Kyra than anybody on the internet. I have him 5th on my board. Like, I love that dude, so I got no problem with it. I think that dude could play. He could. You've talked about it on the show. That dude is a speed demon. He can knock it down. Like, you can't go under and try to stop him, meeting him at the hoop, because he'll knock down shots off the bounce. You try to chase him going over. He could beat you to the spots. He could play make. I think he's underrated in that way. I mean, just from a talent perspective, I definitely have him as as the best available to them at that point. So I got no problems with it. And look, at this part of the draft, if you can get a guy with his potential that fits the NBA so well, I can't knock it. I can't.
But for some reason, I see the Wiz paying Hassan Whiteside. I see them going after Whiteside or even DeMarcus Cousins. I know he's supposed to kind of be locked into the Lakers, but I know him and Wall have that connection. And I think DeMarcus Cousins wants to play. So that's why I went with a backup point guard.
Interesting. Okay. All right, Corey. We going to you. Number 10, Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, so I think this is now a good spot for Tyrese Halliburton. I don't think Halliburton is your your lead ball handler, playmaker type. So if you can put him next to a Devin Booker, who is going to be able to carry the bulk of the load, do a lot of ball handling himself, he can play off of Booker and the rest of their shooters. He could space the floor. He'll be able to get out in transition, run pick and roll with Ayton. I think that with everybody left on the board, I think he's a pretty seamless fit in Phoenix, and he's got good size, good length. That to me, I think if the board shook out like this, I think that Halliburton is a good spot for Phoenix, or Phoenix is a good spot for Halliburton rather.
Yeah, I can see it. Especially where Phoenix ended the season last year. It seems like they want to stay at that, competitive level. So going with a more safer pick in a Halliburton over a project, I think it is certainly the route for them to go to. Obviously, point guard is a position of need for them. So I could see Halliburton slotting in there quite nicely with Book. Raphael, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Halliburton has to go to a situation like that. I think if he goes to the Knicks or the Pistons, then all his flaws will be exposed. But I think in a situation where he can play off the ball some, Booker's already going to get to the free throw line, and he'll be able to just kind of be a good connective tissue or complementary piece. I think this is a good fit for him. But I think, like I said, New York or Detroit, he goes to one of those teams, I think he just doesn't look good.
Yeah, that's why I don't want him on the Knicks, because I don't see him having that type of success as compared to some of these other teams. So I definitely agree with you on that. All right, we got the Spurs at 11. I gotta check the phones, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. We got 812 in here. Appreciate the patience in here. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag new. We'll shout you guys out. Let me shout out some of the super chats that came in. I had to slow down the chat because the chat was going crazy. My Okoro pick had people jumping out the window, man. It's all good, man. KnicksFanTV, we're about shock value. All right. Shout out Kurt Cobain. He says, shout out KnicksFanTV. Love y'all guys. Shout out Kurt up in heaven. Robert Paris says, top sports show, bar none. Big week ahead. Yeah, definitely big week ahead. We got Ian Begley coming on next Tuesday. And then we got draft night Wednesday night. We got Corey, Hardwood Herald. We got Raphael Barlow, NBA draft junkie. We got Spencer Perlman coming in. We got my guy Pierre from Through the Wire podcast. So it's going to be a heavy hitter show. Park City Dion sends a super chat. Appreciate you, Park City. He goes, damn. I guess that was the response to Okoro. Father Peace, he says, this year we strike gold. So Father Peace is sounding kind of optimistic. Park City says, no way to Okoro. You can find athletes that can defend at 27 through 38. He wants Kara Lewis at 8. Money Mark says, great job as usual. For me, Obi or Vassell fits best with RJ Mitchell Frank. Hashtag December 22. Okay. All right, let me try the phones once again.
These comments are hilarious.
Yeah.
I saw a guy says if you take Okoro, he's going to KnicksFanTV.
I got people fleeing the family, man. Jeez, a little adversity. What happened to the development staff, people? What happened to all of that? I'm gambling big. I told you I'm going hard to go home, man. That's it. No safe picks. We're going hard to go home.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Knicks need a point guard. I know they have quite a few on the roster, but I think that point guard is the most important position, and I would take a point guard. But I get where you're coming from because you're basing off where you think that, a Tibbs-based team is going to do. So I get it from where you're looking at it. But it'll be, I don't know, if they don't get a point guard in free agency or via trade, and then you add Okoro, then the Knicks are going to be bad again.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. Listen, it's going to be a transition time, man. It's going to be a transition. But again, we'll see. I'm just going off of how the board looks and where I think they would go. All right, so Spurs pick at number 11. I think there's a number of ways they can go. I think Spurs are going to be in rebuild mode. You're hearing that there's some activity there with the Spurs. I don't really see that being the Spurs way. I think they'll stay here with the pick at number 11. And I think they will go with Alexei Pokusevski. I think the Spurs go international. It's worked out for them in the past. I think Pokusevski and Pop is a nice matchup. The passing ability, three-point ability. Obviously he's got to put some weight up. But I think Pokusevski would be a nice development prospect for Popovich and the Spurs. Corey, what's your takes on Poku's game?
You know what? The first when I started watching Poku, I kept looking at all the things he could do. I'm going, oh wow, like that's a smooth 7-footer. Like This dude's running off screens. He's making plays out of pick and roll. Like, no doubt that he's skilled. But then the more and more I'm watching him, I'm just going, dang, can my man get to the free throw line at the, like, he looks like he's playing at the rec league, like
he's
at my
frail,
like my men's league, right?
He's
so
frail, bro.
I'm I'm a little bit worried about him if we're looking at him as a guy that, like, this guy is going to blow up. He's going to be the next big thing. I don't know if he has that, like, aggressive toughness in him to do that. I think he's got skills. I think he could definitely be a guy that brings a lot to the table if he develops right, and I think that the Spurs are a great spot for him, even though I think that this might be a little bit early for him. But in a draft like this, it would not shock me if he was a guy that rose so quickly. But yeah, he's a guy that I look at and I went, man, a lot of good things, but I don't know if I'm the one who I want to take the chance on it, because it's a little bit different than Giannis's situation. I think, with Giannis, I think he had so much growing to do. I don't know, like, this dude's skinny. I don't see the same kind of aggressiveness even in a young Giannis.
Truth be told, I didn't realize Okongwu was still on the board, bro. That was my fault. I would have had him with Okongwu. That was my fault. I'm taking that back. Let me rewind a little bit. I'm taking that back.
Oh, man, I got the next pick.
Yeah, I'm trying to manage the board and the chat and everything. That was my fault. I'm going Okongwu to the Spurs because that's
where I thought you were going.
Yeah. That would just make the most sense. So forgive me on that one.
You can do that. I mean, you can't do that in real life.
I know. People get paid for that all the time. But But yeah, we going back. So give me Okongwu to the Spurs at 11. Obviously, the best player available on the board. Kings at 12. Raphael, where are you going?
Oh man, it went from the easiest choice to now the toughest one. With the Kings, I mean, like, the one position where you know that they need the most help at would be center, and Okongwu would have been able to come in and slide in their lineup right away. This is tough because they're like the Hawks in a sense. No matter where you go, it's somewhat redundant to a player that they've recently paid or recently drafted. It depends on what they do with Bogdanovich and Buddy Hield, who's looking great, by the way. I live in Dallas. I've been watching.
Yeah, he's been working out with Randall and Tyler Ralph and those guys, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen Julius in the gym the last 2 days I went, but they've been playing pickup, and quite a few guys have been there, and Buddy's been playing the point, so it looks like he's been working like his ball handling and his pick and roll game or whatever. But if I'm Sacramento here, I would probably go with, I think Bogdan is going to be gone, or you trade Buddy, and I think that you can get another shooter for a lot cheaper. They just paid Buddy about $90 million. So I'm gonna go with Aaron Nesmith here, and I'm gonna move one of the two. Either Bogdanovich leaves in free agency, or Buddy gets traded. So I look to replace him with another shooter, and so I'm going Aaron Nesmith.
Aaron Nesmith to the Kings. All right, hang on 1 second. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Let's go back to the phones. David from Long Island, what's going on, bro?
What's going on, CP? Second time caller. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys.
Hit that thumbs up button for your boys.
I just want to talk about that 8th pick. I think the Knicks got to go Kira. I really like that kid's game, man. He just brings a great energy when he plays. I think with him and RJ, they'd be pushing the tempo a lot for this team. And he's got a shot. You need somebody who could shoot on this team. And being a point guard is something that we desperately need too. I think they could establish a good pick and roll with him and Mitch. He's a great driver. So with him rolling to the hoop and then Mitch being right there, I think that they will play off really well off each other. The only other thing I want to talk about is if we do go after a superstar, and I'm hoping it's not Brody, if we go after CP3 and we can get him with not too much, trades and all, not too much picks for the trade, I think that he'd be really good to kind of show Kira how to run this offense really effective. Perfect. And I think if you do have Kira kind of learning under CP3, I think that's the best case scenario for this team when we get a pick for a point guard, especially when we're trying to establish a future with that point guard. So I think that's the pick we got to make for that 8th pick.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. I think CP3 would be an excellent teacher for any of the point guards that they bring in. And I think Tibbs will, lean towards a veteran going into this thing, especially with the short time frames and things of that nature. So I definitely agree with you there. All right, next call. Let me go to Uptown Harlem World. Baron, what's going on, man?
Hey, TP, hit that thumbs up button for your boy. They stole your slogan. Now, every time they call, they say, hit that thumbs up button for your boy. Listen, man, I like the Okoro pick. But we can make a splash at 8. That Patrick Williams kid at Florida State is nice. Okoro going to play the D. He's going to play D, but we're going to have to wait years for this guy. And like you said, he's going to get exposed. Man, listen, I'm going with Patrick Williams, man.
Okay.
We're going to make a splash early. We can get all them other players later. We can do that later. Then after that, then we'll be all right. I'm still not spending no money on nobody and don't want no Russell Westbrooks and all them other guys. They can have that. Because if I have a deal with them, if me and Houston do any kind of deal, I'm showing up with my gun. Simple, because it's going to be a robbery. If I'm not robbing them, we not doing no deal. But I just wanted to say, yo, CP, thanks for putting me on once again, man. I'm going to keep my eyes and my ears open for you, big bro.
Yes,
I love
sir.
what you're doing, my man. All
Appreciate
right?
it, bro. Appreciate it. So my guy Barrett,
Hello?
he thinks
Hello?
Patrick Williams is a I don't know, my guy was on it, but I think he thinks Patrick Williams is the more ready to go prospect than Okoro. But I'm hearing Patrick Williams is as much of a project as Okoro. What do you guys think about that?
I think Okoro is probably has his game more evolved than Patrick Williams does at this point. I just think that, and they both kind of share the same weakness, right? Like Patrick Williams is good getting to his little mid-range Jimmy, but a 19-year-old rookie, he's not taking 4 mid-range shots a game off the bounce, coming into the league. So I think they're going to have the same kind of issue with guys going under on screens, making them prove that they could shoot. But, I think that Okoro is going to be able to get into the paint a little bit easier. I think his handle is a little bit more advanced at his position. I think Patrick Williams I think his handle is a little underrated, but I think Okoro can do more with it. I think he'll be able to make plays a little bit easier. But I think with both of those guys, it comes down to the fit and the organization that could develop them. I think that they both have a chance to be really, really good players, but they could also both, kind of hit their median outcome, maybe their lower end, depending on where they go and how much pressure is put on them to succeed right away.
Yep, I agree with you on that, man. All right, so which pick we are at? 12, we went with Nesmith, right? I'm just updating the board here. Had a little error on the board. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. So 12, we went with Nesmith. I'm using this Real GM sim lottery thing. Problem is, if you make one mistake on here, you can't edit it, and so you got to do the whole damn thing over again. So
I got it written. I got all the picks written down. If that happens,
all right,
so
cool.
I got them typed out.
All right, cool. So we had Okongwu to the Spurs. We had Nesmith to the Kings. Pelicans. So whose pick is that? Whose pick is that?
That's me, I think.
Yeah. All right. So where are you going? New Orleans Pelicans.
I really wanted Nesmith to fall to the Pelicans. That to me would have been the perfect fit. Learn from JJ Redick, but it is what it is. It's how the game is. There's a lot of noise that they're maybe shipping out Drew. Who knows if that happens or if it doesn't. But I think that at this spot, I think he's one of the more talented guys on the board. Who has a pretty solid floor as well. I'm going to take Tyrese Maxey here. Yeah, kind of a little bit in the same vein as Drew. If he tops out, I think with Maxey, I'm a big fan. I think he's being a little bit underrated. I kind of wish that he played more on the ball at Kentucky. I'm not the biggest Ashton Hagens guy. I think Maxi's a lot of fun. He's great coming off that floppy action and whatnot, but I think that in the NBA, he's going to show that he has a little bit more on the ball game. So I think he's got some potential there. I love how he defends. That dude competes. And I think that his shot, I think the release point's a little low. He shoots it out instead of up sometimes. I think he's just got to, raise that release point just a tiny bit. And I think he's going to be a really good shooter. And that's on the bounce, off the catch. I think he's got, that winning mentality that any coach would want. And I think at this spot, if you can get a Tyrese Maxey, I think that's pretty good value. So I'm going to take Maxey here for New Orleans.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what New Orleans does. I think they will end up trading Holiday. Where he goes is anyone's guess at this moment. So they're going to need someone at the point or one of the guard positions. So, it seems like Lonzo could be on his way out as well. So let's see where they go there. All right, Celtics at 14. As I said, I feel like they're going to be itching to move up. They have 3 first-round picks. If they were to stand pat, I think they will go big. And I think they will go with, you know what? I'm going to go with Precious Achiuwa here. A guy that gives you some positional versatility. He gives you some toughness and some grit. And I think he could come in and help this Celtics team right away as a team that's looking to compete on the defensive end. And I think Achiuwa will give them some versatility out there at the 4 spot. And I think that's Boston's pick at 14. Raphael, what's your take on Achiuwa, man?
Yeah, that's who I have Boston taking on my last mock. But I'm kind of biased towards him because I have a friend that is anti-Precious. And I think because of me being so much of a Precious fan, it's kind of made me a little bit, it's just kind of made me a Precious protector, I guess. But I like him a lot. I do think that he has really high bust potential if he doesn't accept the role, because I think that if he decides to be a defender, energy guy that slowly develops his skill set as a guy that could maybe knock down open shots, maybe be an active cutter, rim roller, I think he'll be fine. But if he decides that he wants to play like he played in AU, where he wants to be a wing and he wants to dribble and shoot contested pull-up jumpers, then I think he could be in trouble. But I just like his tools. I like the fact that he does have some skill set as far as like putting the ball on the floor. He's a little out of control. He's not a good decision maker. But I think if he just accepts the role, and I guess the best example that I can think of is coming out, I felt like Tristan Thompson and Thomas Robinson were not much different. But I felt like the biggest difference between the two is Tristan accepted a role while Thomas Robinson wanted to show that he has ball handling skills and shoot jumpers. And I mean, the difference is Tristan he's made a lot more money. He's still in the league, while Thomas Robinson he's playing overseas. So I think for Precious, it's a matter of accepting a role as an energy guy and then slowly just kind of developing his skill set as opposed to trying to be a wing.
All right. And over to you at 15 for Orlando Magic.
So at number 15 for Orlando, I think that the best fit here, or at least I think where they'll go, is just based off of their history of taking long athletic guys with high defensive upside. I'll go with RJ Hampton here. Okay. I think with you have there's question marks about Markelle Fultz, but then DJ Augustine is a free agent. I think Michael Carter-Williams is a free agent. Evan Fournier, he's probably going to opt in, but he may not be there next year. So I think you're going to need some depth at guard. And I think RJ has a high upside if he can work on his jump shot, which I've seen with my own eyes. I've been in the gym with him this summer. He's been putting a lot of work on his jump shot. But if you get a best case scenario of Fultz and RJ, then you have a pretty athletic long backcourt. There may be questions about their outside shooting, but I mean, if you just look at their history from, I think even back when their general manager was in Milwaukee, this is the type of player that they selected.
Interesting. Corey, 16, the Portland Trail Blazers. What do you think, man?
This is my team, so you gotta do this right.
All right.
With the Blazers, I'm not gonna let Patrick Williams drop any further than this. I think, maybe there's a little bit of overlap, him and Nas Little, but I think that that backcourt is kind of solidified, and I think they're gonna want guys who can add to that wing depth, that you need to put around guys like Dame and CJ. So, Pat Williams is a guy that has a lot of potential, but I think that he'll be able to step on the floor with a team like that and at least defend right away and just get out in transition and make athletic plays, guard multiple positions. And I think, at this spot, I think that, you kind of got to take him here. I think his upside is really high for this team and this spot.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man, especially in the West. Having that wing versatility will certainly help him. Melo certainly did him no favors. That's my guy, but, certainly did him no favors. And I think with Gary Trent, bring that defensive intensity off the bench, having a Patrick Williams that can come in, whether or not he's coming in off the bench or what, I think he could certainly help him from a defensive standpoint. Raphael, where would you go if this was your pick at 16? You're a Blazer fan.
Yeah, I'm a big Blazers fan. I want Sadiq Bey. I think he answers every question that we have. He fills so many needs, from wing depth to another person that can make a play with the ball. I think looking at the Blazers the past few years, if a team trapped Dame, then CJ had to make a play. Like before, we had Harkless and Aminu. Neither one of those guys were able to put the ball on the floor or pass. And if they got the ball like late in the shot clock, then they would, if they didn't have a shot, they couldn't attack a closeout, or they would throw it back to Dame or CJ, hit him with a bomb, and they had to take a bad shot. So I think that with Sadiq Bey, I like how Villanova played him at point forward sometimes. So that way you can run some off-the-ball plays for Dame and CJ. I think he's a multi-positional defender, and he shot over 40% from three. So I think that he would be a really good fit. But anything is better than we had William and Gabriel starting at the 4 in the playoffs. So Bey would be a definite upgrade, along with Ariza and Hood coming back. So that would be my choice. But can't go wrong with Patrick Williams because he's so young. It's like you're getting a player that I don't think was projected to come out in this draft at this time last year. And so I think he has a pretty high upside. So I wouldn't be mad.
Interesting. You know what? I'm going to give Bey to the Timberwolves, man. They need talent. Point blank, period. And I think if you're coming in with D'Lo at the 1, Edwards at the 2, I'd throw Bey at the 3, and you have Cat at the 4. I mean, at the 5. We'll see who they go with at the 4. But for all the reasons that you mentioned, I think Sadiq Bey would be a nice piece to that young core of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I'm going to go with Bey at number 17.
Agree. Yeah, I think he comes in and starts from day one, and he fills a lot of needs as far as defense, and allow D'Angelo to play off the ball on some plays because he can make plays for others. So I think that would be a good fit. I mean, to me, he's one of the best plug-and-play guys.
Facts. All right. Corey, I think that was your pick at 17 Timberwolves. All right, so we'll reset it. Corey, go ahead with 18 at the Mavericks.
Hold on, I got the Mavericks now. All right, hold on. Okay, so if I'm Dallas and I just want guys that can, kind of play off Luka, I think this might, I don't know, some people might think this is too early. Personally, he's a guy that I'm not like as high on as the rest of the internet seems to be, but I think that he's a guy that is going to thrive in the kind of role that Dallas would afford him. So I'm going to take Desmond Bane here.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Desmond Bane to the Dallas Mavericks. All right, so let me find Bane here.
I think the order was right because I think Corey, you picked for the Blazers, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Then CP, you picked for the Wolves. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I got skipped.
Oh, all right.
You got skipped. All right. Yeah, you got skipped.
All right. So, should I take the Nets or you want to take the Nets, Raphael?
I'll do 19.
Okay. So go ahead with the Nets pick at 19.
I'll do 19. My man has been sitting in the green room. They got the cameras on him. He's probably crying, and they got the graphic at the bottom of the screen talking about his stock dropping. So I'm gonna save Tyrese Halliburton here. I'm gonna take him with the Nets.
Oh no,
He
we
may
had
not be the
we had
best.
Halliburton with the Suns.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
that's
got
right.
Halliburton at
Yeah,
10.
we had Halliburton at
I'm
10
sorry.
with the
I'm
Suns.
sorry.
Mhm.
I apologize. All right. So for the Nets here, then I would go with it may not be the best fit. Actually, you know what? I'll just go with Jalen Smith. I think that one of the things that the Nets don't have is a big that can space the floor. And even though it'd be tough to get minutes with Allen and DeAndre Jordan and the buddy system getting $10 million a year, but I think that Jalen Smith would give them another defender and outside shooter, because for some reason I think Jared Allen possibly gets moved in a deal with Spencer Dinwiddie. I think they're going to try to add a third star there. So Jalen Smith would be my choice.
Okay. And in that mold, I could see the Nets even going out and getting Surge maybe in the offseason in that Jalen Smith mold. So let's see how that transpires. Number 20, the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat. Those damn Pat Riley Miami Heat. You know what? Where am I going to go with the Heat here? Where am I going to go with Miami Heat here? Let's see who we got left on the board. We got some options. Let's see who we have here on the board. Miami Heat. You know what? I'm going to go with a guy who has been rising up boards. And you know what? At this moment in the draft, I don't think you could lose. I'm going Tyrell Terry. I'm going Tyrell Terry to the Miami Heat. The rich get richer, and they get another bomber to bomb away with Duncan Robinson and Hero and the boys, Jimmy and them down in the 305. What do you guys think about it, man? Tyrell Terry to the Miami Heat.
I mean, I love.
That's what I have him going on my last mock.
Yeah, I love Tyrell Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. He's that kid could shoot it. You know, I usually don't take much from workout videos, but I think, especially with this situation where it's been so long, so he has had so much time to kind of work on his body, work on his strength. His athleticism looks noticeably different to me. Like, my dude is cocking back dunks. He's throwing it between his legs. Typically, I wouldn't say fall for a workout video, but it feels like he has become noticeably more athletic. And, I think he was a good enough finisher at the rim as is in college. Mm-hmm. So if you add that he's just a little bit more athletic, I think that really is going to make a difference at the next level. So, and the dude could shoot the crap out of the ball. So you put him with Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero and just add another threat to play off of Bam and Jimmy. And I mean, you got something to work with there.
That's a fact, man. All right. So where are we at? Raphael's up. Philly?
Yep. All right. So with the Philadelphia 76ers, to me, this is a no-brainer. I think they'd be happy to see Cole Anthony fall to them.
Me too.
I think that he would be a good fit there. One, they need a point guard. Mm-hmm. But even if you don't think he's a point guard, they need a guard that can score and create his own shot off the dribble. And I think he'll be motivated. I think that he's a guy that he'll look at the names above him in this draft, feel like he's better than them. And me personally, I feel like if I had to choose in a workout between Tyrese Halliburton and Cole Anthony, I think Anthony eats him for lunch. And so I would go with Cole Anthony here. I think that he could end up being a steal. Well, if I would have had the Mavericks pick, I thought that would have been good for him also, because what the areas that he's weak in, Luka makes up for that and allows him to just come in and do what he does best and score. But for Philly, I think they end up getting a steal if they get him this low.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot has been made about Cole Anthony and his draft stock potentially dropping. There's been some knocks at his character and stuff like that. I don't know how much to believe on that, because I don't know the kid, and I wouldn't want to bury him in that light. But if it is true, I would say this is the best situation for him. Going with Doc Rivers, obviously knows the family, obviously the Greg Anthony connection there, a veteran team in Philly, can come off the bench and just do his thing, be an instant offense asset to that team until he develops into, potentially a point guard that can ultimately be a starter. So I like Cole Anthony with that Sixers pick.
I tell you what, though, they need to stop posting videos of him getting dominated by Kevin Porter Jr.
I've been seeing that.
That's not helping his draft stock.
Brickley's been setting him up, man, because Kevin Porter has been eating his food in those Brickley workouts, man.
Yeah. That is not good for your draft stock. So.
That's a fact, man. That is a fact. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We got 818 cracking right now. We still going heavy. We got T. Williams sends in the super chat. He says Kira Lewis Jr. is the pick. Joe Collins says Westbrook going to the Bulls and risk it all for Melo Ball. Where is Ron Cleveland? That's a good question. Where is Ron Cleveland? Yeah, listen, if it between me, for me, if it came down between Kira and Okoro, I would take Kira Lewis. I'm just telling you where I feel like the team would go if faced with that situation. They met with Kira twice, so clearly he's on their radar. Clearly, Vassell is on the radar as well. So, you know, I think those guys will certainly be there on the Knicks draft board. All right, cool.
Yeah, I read Tibbs met with him in a church. Like he watched him work out in a church
sure
or
did.
something like that.
Sure did. All right, who's up? Am I up or is it Corey up at 22 with Denver Nuggets?
Probably me, right?
Yeah, Corey's up. Denver Nuggets.
All right. So with Denver, I'm trying to think. They're a team. They want to compete. I think they might want to make an upgrade. Maybe kind of make a splash. Maybe Gary Harris could be used as salary filler in that scenario. I also noticed the difference that Gary Harris made when he came back in that bubble defensively. Look, we know that team can get buckets with Murray and Jokic, but they were having a lot of trouble stopping people from getting buckets. So I think in this scenario, I'm going to take Josh Green.
Okay.
I think that with Josh Green, I think as a defender on the perimeter, I would put him up there with anybody in the class. I think the way that he moves his feet is really, really impressive. I think that he has a really easy path to contributing offensively just because I think that he's going to knock down shots. Mm-hmm. He definitely had trouble finishing at the rim in college. So, as long as he can keep it simple and not try to do too much off the bounce, which I don't think he'd be expected to, but he can make cuts. He can get out in transition and play off of guys like Jokic and Murray and all the, attention that they get. I think Denver would be a really good situation for him to allow him to play to his strengths and then, be able to cover defensively for that backcourt.
Okay, so we got Josh Green to the Denver Nuggets. All right, 23 Utah Jazz. I think part of the issue they had in the bubble was certainly wing defense and offense as well. Bogdanovich was out. They were sorely missing him, and they really just had no depth behind him. So I think for 23, I'm gonna go with Robert Woodard out of Mississippi State. 42% from three. Good rebounder, good defense, a hustler. They need some of that toughness there in Utah, and I think Robert Woodard would give them that type of interior presence. So I'm going to go Robert Woodard, 23 to the Utah Jazz. All right. Nobody wants Pokusevski, huh? I threw everybody off with the Poku stuff. All right. Hold on.
See how quick he dropped, right?
We'll see. Poku dropped, man. All right, Raphael, 24, Milwaukee Bucks.
This is a tough one because I want to take Pokusevski there, but I think with the Giannis situation, they want someone that's going to be able to come in
right away
and play right away.
Yeah.
I think the best fits there would have been Desmond Bane, but he's gone because I think he'd be ready to come in and contribute as another shooter. So this one is a tough choice. They may have to go up. I think they possibly could trade this pick, possibly. But if I were the Bucks here, I would go with Malachi Flynn.
Oh,
I'd add some depth at point guard. He's a pretty good shooter. He was the defensive player of the year in the Mountain West. I don't know how well that translates to the NBA because he's a little undersized and not really long, but I think that he would be their best playmaker on the team. And
Yeah.
I think that if they got creative, they could probably run some pick and rolls with him and Giannis, and which is something that, I mean, Bledsoe's okay in the pick and roll, but I think Malachi Flynn, I've been having trouble saying that all day. I think he would come in and just kind of be able to give them another playmaker, a guy that can knock down open shots, and he'd be ready to come in and contribute right away.
All right. Corey 25 OKC.
All right, I'm doing it.
Poku
I'm taking
time.
Poku here.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of rumors that OKC has had his eyes on him. You know, so maybe in this case where there's smoke, there's fire. Obviously, like if OKC is getting ready to trade Chris Paul, they're going to be completely fine getting, throwing themselves into the Cade sweepstakes. You know, Poku's a guy that if he's good, great. They got 1,000 picks to gamble on at this spot in the draft. It's a good spot to take a gamble like this, especially for that team and the situation they're trying to find themselves in. Because even if he comes in as a rookie and shows a little something, it's not going to be enough to win them games. So I think this is the spot for him.
Okay. I agree, and I've been saying that for OKC. There's two guys that if they're available, I take the gamble and swing for the fences on. It's Pokusevski and Jaden McDaniels. I feel like as far as Pokusevski, I have a little bit of an advantage because I've actually saw him play live. I was at the tournament at the under-18s in Greece. I went to a bunch of his games. I've seen the positive. I've seen the game where he filled out the stat sheet, where he blocked shots, got steals, made great passes. But then I saw games that he did absolutely nothing. And the biggest thing that stands out to me is there's a game against Germany. He started off 0 for 5 in his first 6 minutes, and he never got back in the game. He didn't look injured. He didn't have his shoulder wrapped up, his knee, his ankle. He was on the bench kind of laughing, having a good time. He didn't play the rest of the tournament. And there were rumors that he got shut down, like someone shut it down. And I questioned his toughness, like was mentioned earlier. I wonder if you throw him in the G League today, just the G League, not the NBA, where he's going to be against a bunch of hungry dogs that are trying to make it. I don't know if he'll be able to handle that because he's so young. I mean, I think he just barely made the cut for this draft. But as far as talent, I'm gambling on it. And I think that this would be a good pick for the Thunder. And it makes the most sense because they don't have a timeline. Right. They got
time to wait.
Yeah, they have plenty of time to wait. And if he doesn't pan out, they have like a million other draft picks. So great choice.
Sounds good, man. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Again, we are coming up to number 27, almost there. I want to hear from the phone. We're going to get to the phones on 27. But for 26, and again, with Boston looking to make moves with 3 first-round picks, I think if they were to stay here, I think they go draft and stash, and I go Leandro Balmero in this spot. He's still signed on with his team down in Barca, and I think it's for another 2, maybe 3 years. So I think Balmero, if Boston stays in this spot, I think Balmero would be the pick, draft and stash pick, potential point guard of the future. If he ever comes over, we'll see. Obviously, you like his playmaking upside. Needs work on the shooting end. Defense, fairly average, but not a negative. But you give him time to develop where he is, and maybe he comes up in a couple years' time. So for Boston, I think Balmero at this slot makes the most sense based on their current roster composition. Okay. All right, so here we go. 27, New York Knicks. Let's get to the phones. See what the people think. Let me hear from Josh from San Diego. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing tonight?
What's going on, man? Based on, I don't know if you have the draft board in front of you, but where would you go right now at 27 for the New York Knicks?
Jaden McDaniels. You got to go Jaden McDaniels. I feel like at the 27th pick, we can afford to, take on a project like Jaden McDaniels. And I think the potential, the ceiling is definitely there. You definitely have to, take a move, take a chance on Jaden McDaniels at the 27th pick. what I really called to talk about, and I'm just going to be really quick with it. I've gotten used to the fact that Knicks fans don't like when I call. But Tyrese Halliburton, as he falls to number 8, you have to take him. And I'll give you my reasons why. At 6'5", he's going to be a bigger point guard than a lot of, besides LaMelo Ball, he's going to be the biggest point guard out there. His defensive potential is there. He can guard 1 through 3, potentially. And as far as IQ, he has the highest IQ of almost every point guard in this draft. He can play right away. And you got to think about who the coach is. The coach is going to be Tom Thibodeau. Okay? So Tom Thibodeau's not going to want to, wait around for these players to come and develop the entire time. So Halliburton can go in there and play right away. He can fit right next to RJ. He can fit right next to Mitch. And for those Knicks fans who don't know, because I know a lot of us don't watch Iowa State or, Alabama basketball games, head-to-head, when he went up against Kira Lewis, he cooked them. He had 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists against Kira Lewis's 8 points and 5 assists. So, Knicks fans, do your homework on Tyrese Halliburton. I think the reason why you hate him is because his name is too long or something. I don't know. But his game is definitely it. He has the IQ, and he can be our point guard of the future.
I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it.
I question his defense. He's so skinny. Like, who's he going to guard?
It's a good question, man.
I mean, he's been in college 2 years, so he's had 2 years of a college weight program, and he weighs the same as I do, and he's probably a foot taller. So
I think
that's my question about his defense.
There's a lot of good restaurants in New York, is all I'm saying.
Right.
He can eat good in New York.
They said he put on like 15 pounds or something, right?
I think he has an agency working for ESPN because I've just been hearing so much stuff about him top 3 now. I think that's a little under the table money going on there. That's just my opinion.
Listen, I like his skill sets. I've always said that there's certain teams that I like him on. I don't like the fact that he only averaged 2 free throw attempts per game. I don't like the fact that he doesn't get to the line. It's not aggressive enough for me from the point guard spot. That's just me. So again, what will his intermediate game look like? Similar to Okoro, as you guys said, but with Halliburton, what would that intermediate game look like? Yes, he's a good pick and roll ball handler and a good facilitator out of the pick and roll. Out in transition, I think he could certainly help the Knicks, him and RJ as well. But there's just other aspects from a point guard perspective that I just question, and a lot of the people that we've had on there have kind of echoed the same sentiment. So we'll see.
You think he's a good pick and roll ball handler? I mean, I don't think he's a threat to go to the basket, and I don't think he can shoot the pull up.
But I mean, like,
but to me, I guess to really take advantage of the pick and roll, to take advantage of the mismatches, you have to be a threat to shoot the pull up jumper. Or get to the basket. I just think you get him in a pick and roll, he's just going to swing it to the side. So that's just my opinion. I'm not high on Halliburton as everybody else, but I think if you put him in an interview setting, he's going to blow you away with his IQ and the interviews. But to me, fit is the most important part for him, because if he goes to a good situation, it's going to look good. But if he doesn't, like I said, all his flaws will be exposed.
True indeed, man. All right, let me hear from Malcolm. Malcolm in Harlem, man. Malcolm, if you're looking at the board, where would you go at 27?
Hello?
Yo, what's up, bro? How you feeling?
Yeah. If I'm looking at this board, first of all, I love the Okoro pick. I think Okoro, especially being the SEC, he locked down a lot of the best guards and forwards out there. And since we're taking a forward at 8, we got to go point guard, and I think Malachi Flynn will be the best player.
Flynn's gone. Flynn went to the Bucks, man. He's gone off the board.
All right, then Theo Maledon.
Ooh, okay.
Another French.
Get point guard.
Malcolm, I don't know if you're in the chat, man, but don't let him know it's you if you're going in there, man. Thanks for the call, bro. He's going back to the Frenchman with Theo Maledon at number 27. You know what? The Knicks did meet with him. They say they are high on him. Theo Maledon. Not known for his separation as a point guard, but a fairly solid defender. Crafty, from what our scouting reports have brought to us. Theo Maledon thinks he's about 6'5", so he certainly has the size. I don't know, Raphael, I'm sure you've probably seen a lot more of him. What do you think about his game?
I think he's a game manager.
Yeah.
And I think that I like Frank, but I think that he's too similar to Frank as far as just kind of being a bigger point guard, but that's not really aggressive. That's just going to kind of manage the game. And so I just, for like the Knicks, I just don't think that would be a good choice.
Yeah, I don't think so either, man. Corey, have you seen any Maladon?
You know what? He's one guy I haven't really dug too deep in. I watch highlights or whatever, and I don't know. He's definitely one of the guys that I initially, when I'm like looking for who I'm gonna do next, I'll try to maybe go to the highlight. And there wasn't anything about him that caught my eye. Like I wasn't like, I've heard the name, but nothing jumped out at me that I just based it off, which means nothing. I don't want to be one of the guys who claims to know about a lot about him just by watching the highlights. But just on first glance, sometimes I could tell a little bit, and he's not a guy that particularly interested me. There were other guys I wanted to focus on more, just based on my initial base research into him. So. Maybe he could be a player. It's a young guy, right place, right time, right team. A lot of these guys at the back end, that's what it's about.
True story, man. All right, so 27. We've gotten a vote for Jaden McDaniel. But you know what? I'm going to go away from potential question marks. And I'm going to go with Jameis Ramsey out of Texas Tech at number 27. Number 27, Jameis Ramsey. Two-way player, 42% from three. I'm going to take a chance here. I'm going to take a chance on Jameis Ramsey on some upside and take him at 27. I like Flynn. I wanted Flynn. Obviously, I would love a Terry or even a Cole Anthony at 27 if he was there of the guard selections. But with them not being there, I'll go with more of a two-way player in Jameis Ramsey at number 27. All right, who's up next? Was that Lakers at 28?
Oh, man, never in a million years would I think I'd ever be picking for the Lakers as a Blazers fan. But for the Lakers, I think they can go two ways. I think they can try to find a big that can stretch the floor and maybe a Nnaji. But the player that I like here, and I like him, and it hurts to have him go to a team that I dislike so much. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on Cassius Winston. I think that you can make a case and say he's the best shooter in this draft. I know the name doesn't come up, when you talk about the shooters, but he shot over 40% from three. I want to say over 600 attempts in his college career. Michigan State guy. He's tough. He's seasoned. I think he's ready to come in and contribute right away. If Rondo ends up leaving and going to the Clippers, or he wants a bigger paycheck, I think Winston can come in and be a good backup point guard. I like the fact that he has a little boogie in his game. He's got the street game, but he also has the fundamentals. He may have some issues defending on the NBA level, but I think he's going to be a backup point guard that has a really long NBA career.
All right, Cassius Winston, and I know Corey, you're a fan of Cassius Winston as well.
I love him, man, and you got to figure that LeBron wants somebody that's going to be an adult coming in. Yeah. And I like how you referred to. He's a guy who's got wiggle. He's got that almost that New York style point guard. But just the little things that he does, like he tricks guys into running into screens. With his little head fakes, his little in and outs. All this stuff, just to get to before he even gets to the screen, he's already throwing guys off to really create separation for himself. I think he's probably one of the three best passers in this draft. Live dribble, right hand, left hand, hitting the weak side, coming off a screen. I love him. I think he's going to have a long NBA career. And I don't know if I was just like reading too much Twitter today, but I thought I saw somewhere he had a 6'6" wingspan. So, if that happened to be the case, that might bode well for him, at least on the defensive end, guarding point guards. I don't know how well he'll guard switches, but I love him.
Yeah, I like how he can score off movement. Like, you can run action plays for him, and he's comfortable shooting, whether it's the pull up, action plays or spotting up. So I think he would be a good complement for LeBron, or he could manage a second unit and not let the lead slip. So to me, that's a perfect fit for him.
Corey, 29, the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't listen to the full podcast yet, but I know that Fred VanVleet was on JJ Redick's podcast.
Fred wants the bag, man. He
wants the bag, right? So I don't, maybe Toronto's willing to give it to him. I don't know, but if not, and I think even if so, because they've had success with this kind of guard, they need, Lowry's getting up there, and I think at this spot, I think I'm gonna take Grant Riller for Toronto.
Okay, I like that.
I think Riller's a guy that he's gonna be a bucket. He's going to be a bucket in the league. I think that, he's got some little things with his shot that he needs to fix. But, he can get to his shot whenever. He can get to the hoop. He's crafty, shifty with the ball. I think that he goes here. He's not necessarily going to be counted on to be the lead playmaker or whatnot. But he's going to be a guy who could come in older right away, contribute, go get buckets coming off the bench, change of pace. And, eventually down the line, and probably quickly, given his age, he'll be able to kind of fill in just in case Fred VanVleet does leave. So I think, again, they've had success with his type of point guard. And maybe, Kyle Lowry can kind of teach him a little bit on the defensive end as well. So I think that at this spot, Toronto would be pretty happy if they can get a guy like that.
Grant Riller.
Yeah, he seems like a guy that Masai would draft, and the next thing you know, he's comes out of nowhere and has like a Fred VanVleet type career. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's yeah. I'm just a big fan of Masai in Toronto. I think they have the best development program in the NBA, and yeah, I just think that would be an awesome pick for them.
All right, so up next are the Boston Celtics once again. Let's see.
It's on you.
Yeah, we had him taking Balmero, draft and stash. We have who did we take first?
Precious.
We took Precious first. Okay. All right. So since you say Boston is hard to predict again because they have these guys, three first round picks and not enough spots. So let's go with where do we want to go here with Boston? Where do we want to go here with Boston? Let's go with Josh Green. Let's go Jaden McDaniels. We'll go Jaden McDaniels to the C's. Again, high risk, high reward, but a team that can afford to take that gamble. I think this is a Danny Ainge pick. Bring him off the bench behind maybe Tatum or Brown and get him in there to do his thing. Perimeter shooting, ball handling, athleticism, wingspan. So Jaden McDaniels is my pick to the Boston Celtics at number 30. All right. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to the end here. Who's up?
I think it's me.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's you.
All right, for Dallas, this is kind of a tough one. I thought all the good fits, like I thought Grant Riller would have been a good fit. He's gone. Jaden McDaniels would have been a good gamble, but he's gone. I think right here based off of a shooting, and I think they're just going to go all in on offense. Isaiah Joe, I think that it may be somewhat of a reach, but he fits the complementary role that they need. They could also take a look at Cassius Stanley, but I think it'll take him a while to really. I think he's just more so potential as a defender than he actually is a good defender right now. I don't think he is, but I'll go Isaiah Joe here. Gives them another knockdown shooter, guy that can come off pin downs. And I think for a guy like Isaiah Joe, Duncan Robinson, just how he was able to shoot off of action plays and just to threaten the gravity, I think it kind of makes Isaiah Joe's stock go up. Not saying he's Duncan Robinson, but those type of guys that can sprint the floor and shoot threes off the catch, kind of open the floor for everybody else. And if you give Luka another shooter, a crazy offense gets even better. So Isaiah Joe will be my choice here.
Okay. All right. Who's up? Is that Corey? Hornets?
Yep. All right, I'm next for the Hornets. Man, I was really hoping I was going to be able to pair the McDaniels brothers together in Charlotte.
With the Martin twins also?
Yeah. Maybe let's get some Plumlees in there. Maybe some I don't know what else
Holidays.
we got. But yeah. But all right, so for Charlotte, I think that there was a lot of rumors they want a big man. That's why they were looking at Wiseman, Okongwu, whatnot. In our mock, they ended up with Ball with that first pick. So I'm going to have them taking a shot on a big like Daniel Aturu here in this spot. Big, athletic, pretty skilled, a little raw, but could be a guy that, could be a high upside play for them in a position of need.
Daniel Aturu. Like that? All right, let's get Aturu in here. Aturu.
This is where we gotta go deep into the bag.
We're in the bag right now. Deep in the bag. All right.
And this is where a guy that you could take here could end up going anywhere from 15 through 40.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Not much difference.
All right. Minnesota Timberwolves. So we have Edwards, we have Sadiq Bey. They got a nice little lineup here cracking right now, man. I kind of like where we're going with the Timberwolves. You got Juancho Hernan Gomez at the 4. Why not upgrade? I don't know how they want to space it. Why not upgrade with Isaiah Stewart? Isaiah Stewart, traditional big man, more traditional, 17 and 8, high octane, high motor. He's gonna get on the boards, does all the dirty work. Need some toughness in Minnesota, man. Got to toughen up Towns and those guys, man. They need some toughness. I'm going to go with Isaiah Stewart to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I like that pick, man. Damn, this was fantasy basketball. I like the Timberwolves looking nice right now.
I like Stewart, man. I like Stewart. This is a tough dude.
Yeah, I'm going Isaiah Stewart for the Minnesota Timberwolves at 33. Knicks at 38. All right, so we got Raphael 76ers at 34.
All right, another tough choice. I gave them Cole Anthony. I still think they need some depth. Actually, you know what? And here I'll go with. Oh, I just had the name. I want to say Cassius Stanley, but he can't shoot yet. You know what? I'll just go with another guard. I think they need a lot of help at guard. So here is Nico Mannion hasn't been drafted yet, right?
No.
Nope.
Yep. I'll go with Nico Mannion, and I think that they're going to end up moving Ben Simmons off the ball some, and I think that I would go with another point guard here, and Nico Mannion. Big fall for a guy that was a projected lottery pick at this time last year.
Yeah. But he's another guy who, didn't really seem like his stock was favorable going into this thing. So I'm not so sure what's going on with Nico Mannion.
Yeah, I had somebody give it to me like this. They're like, man, if Luke Ridnour could play 13 years in the league, they're like, there'll be a spot for Nico.
Yeah.
So, all right.
But then again, you can say that Jimmer didn't play that long also. So I think it kind of balances out.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, man. All right, 35 Sacramento Kings, Corey.
All right. So for the Kings here, I'm gonna give them more shooting. Older guy who can come in, kind of play right away. Kind of a position in need. That small forward. Maybe he swings to power forward a little bit. I'm gonna go with Jordan Nwora.
Okay.
From Louisville.
Jordan Nwora from Louisville at number 35. All right. We got the Sixers again by way of the New York Knicks. And who do we have here? We already have Cole Anthony, Nico Mannion. For the Sixers.
It's not easy picking for Philly.
Yeah. Philly's tough. What are we going to go for the Sixers here? Where do we want to go for the
You got to look at it through the Morey lens.
Yeah, right. From the Morey lens. Yeah, this is tough. From the Morey lens. So we definitely want some shooting here. Want a floor spacer. We have a ton of guards.
And that's why I passed up Cassius Stanley, because I'm like, that is not a Morey guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Killian Tilly here. For the Sixers. Get some 3-point shooting in there. Behind Embiid. Off the bench. Fortify that bench. And we're gonna go with Killian Tilly to the 76ers.
I like it.
All right, so who's 37? Raphael 37?
Yep.
All right.
For 37, I have the Washington Wizards. I had them earlier. I had them taking Lewis. I'm going with a pick. It's not a sexy pick, but I think that he will shore up a defense that gave up 119 points per game. So I'm going with Xavier Tillman.
Good point. Good pickup. Xavier Tillman to the Washington Wizards. Okay. All right. Where are we? Tillman. Okay. Xavier Tillman to the Washington Wizards out of Michigan State. All right. So here it is. 38 to the New York Knicks. We already got a Coro in here. We got a defensive stopper. We got some potential scoring splash with Jamius Ramsey out of Texas Tech. Some size as well. Now, let's see who's on the phones. Is anyone still on the phones with us? All right. Phones asleep tonight. So let's see in the chat at 38. What do you guys think? You have Trey Jones left. You want a point? You have Trey Jones. You have who else we got? You have point guards. You have Trey Jones. You have Isaiah Joe was picked already, right?
Yep. Isaiah Joe went.
Was picked. Maladon is still there, I believe. Malachi Flynn gone. You have Trey Jones. You have Yamadar. Cassius Winston gone. Peyton Pritchard. Grant Riller's gone. You know what? I'm going to go with... Where do we want to go here? Where do we want to go with 38 here, Chad? Where do we want to go?
I'm just saying, you got a Kentucky dude still on the board.
You know what? And that's where I'm going. With the 38th pick of the NBA draft, the New York Knicks select Emmanuel Quickly. Yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm going Quickly. Sharpshooter, SEC Player of the Year. Kenny Payne's understudy. I'm gambling on the development staff. Instant offense off the bench. I'm going with Emmanuel Quickly, folks. That's where I'm going.
I think that was a tough one because you got to figure there's a Kentucky connection.
Yeah.
But I think Yamadar is a Tibbs guy.
What do
a
you think
guy
about
that's
Yamadar?
just going to try to guard you as soon as you walk. I mean, I call him the Israeli Patrick Beverly.
Pitbull.
Yep.
I like Madar. I think offensively too, shades of. I'm not trying to say he's going to be, but I think he's got some shades of some Tony Parker in him offensively. Kind of quick, get to his little mid-range game. I think the release kind of looks a little bit similar. He's a fun dude.
I had him as a Carlos Arroyo on offense with a little Patrick Beverly on defense.
Interesting.
That's a fun player.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, so that's it. 1 through 38. What do we think here? What do we think? What do you guys think about some of your picks? Edwards 1, Wiseman 2, LaMelo 3. Okoro at 8 was not well received by the fans, but like I said, given the scenario, that's just what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's an interesting one, man. I think this is gonna be an unpredictable draft, man. But I think this was an interesting exercise. I like Philly's picks. What were you saying, Raphael?
I would like to see who didn't get drafted. So I'm looking at like Azubuike. I'm thinking Vernon Carey wasn't selected.
Tyler Bay.
I like Tyler Bay a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Reed.
Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
Peyton Pritchard.
Yep.
Yeah, Trey Jones. Yeah, Maladon still there.
Yep.
You have Devin Dotson.
Jay Scrubb. Sam Merrill.
Jay Scrubb. You have Sam Merrill.
Mason Jones. Skylar Mays.
Yep.
A lot of people left on the board. Elijah Hughes.
Yep.
A lot of guys still left, man. But for the Knicks, it's Okoro, it's Ramsey, and it's Quickly. Let's go. I like that. I like that. Delano, you're gonna close us off tonight, man. Delano, what you think of the picks, man? Be honest. What you think of my picks, bro?
The picks are okay. Here's the only thing I'm looking at. I wanted to know if there's a need to address a backup center position.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that we don't have a natural center at outside of Mitchell Robinson. And I was thinking about I've been here, again, just looking at the reports. Everybody talked about Isaiah Stewart. Of course, for me, I kind of have my eyes on like Daniel Oturu. I think you brought him more to my attention than anything else. So I kind of always had my eye set on wondering if we should focus on maybe trying to get a backup center as well with this draft pick, or do you think that that's something that we can address with free agency? And if so, is there anybody that you have in mind to address that need?
Yeah, I think we could definitely address it in free agency. But you can address it in the draft as well. There's talk that they may be trying to buy an additional second-round pick. So, a guy like Raphael had said, maybe an Azubuike pops on the radar late, maybe a Carey. But is Carey more of a 4 or a 5?
I think he's a pure 5.
He's a 5.
He's a 5. He's a 5.
Yeah,
Sure.
I like his game. I'm not you know what I'm saying, as far as what he can do offensively. Not from the rim protection, but
okay.
All in all, I feel like.
I think we lost him. Yeah. All right, appreciate the call, man. Yeah, I think there's a number of ways they can go for the 5. I wouldn't necessarily, count on Kenny Wooten. Kenny's there. He's an option. He's on a 2-way deal right now. But he needs to be evaluated. We don't know what he's going to look like at the next level. Mitch has started to mature a bit at the position, but again, we'll see what year 3 brings, how much of that maturity he carries over. Can he stay on the court? Can he stay disciplined? Will they bring back Taj? Taj's number is $10 million for the year. Will they bring back Taj? I like him. I hope they do. I'm not sure if they bring him back at that number, but I think they could use his leadership.
Tibbs likes him.
Yeah, exactly. Tibbs likes him. So, but you have some guys on the free agent list that could be serviceable backups to Mitch. You have Nerlens Noel, who Delano has called in about all the time. You have Nerlens Noel. You have Tyson Chandler. I think Tyson's pretty much washed. But JaVale McGee.
Baines.
Yeah, Baines. Baines would be a great pickup. You probably got to pay him a little bit more, but Baines would be a solid pickup. You have McGee. You have Robin Lopez. If you want to bring Rallo back, maybe you want to go a bit better there. Maybe Kelly Olynyk. You have Myers Leonard.
DeMarcus Cousins.
Some guys that can step out. If you want to mess with Boogie.
He'll be cheap.
Yeah.
And I would definitely gamble on Boogie.
Mm.
What's he gonna get? $5 million? I mean, what?
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, maybe 9 at the most, but I think you can get him for really cheap, and I think he'll probably sign for maybe a 1-year deal or a 1+1, and I think he'll be motivated because he wants to stick around. So I would definitely take a gamble if I'm actually any team on DeMarcus Cousins that needs a center.
Absolutely, man. Sorry. So, fellas, this was a great exercise, man. Excited about the draft. Looking forward to it next Wednesday night. Looking forward to you guys joining us for the show. And, we're going to do it for real, man. Where the people who get paid to make those decisions are going to put it all on the line, man. But, great show, fellas. Absolutely great show. Let me throw my outro music on. And, Corey, I'll swing it over to you to go ahead and sign out, man.
All right, yeah. First, thanks for having me. This is always a good time. But if you want to do some research, both of the guys here, we got videos for you to watch over on YouTube. You can find mine searching Hardwood Herald. If you want to read a whole bunch of awesome stuff, I put out a draft magazine called The Hardwood. I sold out of physical copies, but you can pick up the PDF. So you can go to hardwoodherald.com, or you can go to my Twitter at Hardwood Herald on the pinned tweet, and you'll be able to find the PDF copy there. Had a bunch of really talented writers write for it. We did an interview with CP, talking about sports business, kind of like entrepreneurship, how he started. And, I got a lot of really good stuff in there, and a lot of really talented people contributed to it. And, if I don't say so myself, I think the artwork, is pretty on point. So that's what I got. That's what I got for you.
Yes, sir. Great job on the magazine as well, man. Yes. Raphael, over to you, bro.
Yeah, I wanted to tell Corey he's a guy that I've kind of like, it's like a friendly internal rivalry. He makes me want to step my game up because his artwork is dope. I mean, there's nobody that's comparing when it comes to the artwork, and the content is great too. So it's good to actually put a face and kind of meet you, even though it's not personally meeting you virtually, because you definitely inspired me to make me step my game up. So I've already been looking at different formats for 2021 draft because I got to compete. But yeah, I'm at NBA Draft Junkies. I mean, I got the website, I have the YouTube channel, I also have a podcast. Just type it in NBA Draft Junkies anywhere you listen to the podcast. And within the next few days, I plan on putting out a ridiculous amount of videos that I'm sitting on. It's crunch time, It's been the longest draft process ever. So I'm sure Corey can relate that we probably have more content than we would in a normal draft. But yeah. So NBA Draft Junkies, and you'll see a lot of content within the next few days.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. And great job, fellas. And salute to everybody in the chat, man. We were hovering around 800 all night. So we appreciate everybody who continues to stick by us, continue to support, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment in the chat, leave a comment on the video. Go ahead and rip my Okoro pick. I want to hear from you guys. Good, bad, or indifferent. Let me know what you guys thought about the Knicks draft picks tonight. Okoro, Jameis Ramsey, and Emmanuel quickly, 8, 27, and 38. Remember, these shows are available in audio podcast format as well, so you never have to miss it. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're basically everywhere. Let me salute some super chats real quick before we get out of here. Salute to Josh Smalls again. Salute to Namdi McDowell for the super chat. He says he's high on Cole Anthony, man. He wants to move up to go get Cole. Chico Fernandez, appreciate it. He says, I wanted Hayes, not totally sold on Okoro, but I like Kira at 8. Kongu went way too low in my opinion. I like Ramsey, potential 3 and D. Needs coaching, A+ work fellow. So salute to Chico Fernandez. And Trellis Stepter, salute to Trellis as well for the super chat, man. So once again, Tuesday, we have Ian Begley. Tuesday night, 9:30. And then Wednesday night is the real thing, NBA Draft, 7 o'clock. And then Friday is free agency kickoff. So we're going to be locked and loaded over the next week, man. But once again, I want to thank Corey, thank Raphael. These guys eat, sleep, and drink NBA draft. This is why the coverage has been so great, because we have guys like this that come in and provide valuable insight on all of these guys. So, fellas, I definitely want to say once again, I appreciate all the hard work and effort that you put into it, because I definitely understand where it's coming from. So, thank you for contributing to this show as well, man. So we will see you guys next week.